What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got two really awesome knives for you guys to take a look at. They're actually the same knife. This is the Tepe Designs Kilij. Top one in bead blasted S35 VN, and the bottom one in beautiful stainless Damascus. Oh my goodness, so excited about that. The designer's name on each of these knives is Sean Hassan with Tepe Designs. If you guys remember my review of, I still have it. This was a knife that was given to me by my good buddy Shaker MT, the Hornet, which is an amazing knife in titanium and N690. That's who the maker is here. Now, there's currently an ongoing Kickstarter campaign for these knives, so I will leave that link in the description so you guys can go and check these out if you're interested. For that reason, and because these are not in plentiful supply at the exact moment of this video, this is going to be more of an overview. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts. Tepe Designs reached out to me directly, and they said, hey, we've got this Kickstarter campaign about to launch. Would you like to take a look at these? And I said, yes, absolutely. I will be sending these back. I do not get to keep them, so I'm giving my pure organic thoughts on these. Just wanted to let you guys know. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on here and get a measurement of these guys. So the overall length of the Kilij, what an awesome name. That's actually apparently is Persian for, or not Persian, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the blade. The blade is a Persian style blade. The word is the Turkish word for sword, which is just really cool. That's awesome. I think that's really cool. The overall length on this guy is exactly 8 inches. The blade is actually, yeah, I think the blade is uncontroversially under, if you go by right here, it's under 3.5 inches. But the cutting edge is also exactly just right under 3.5. Now, if you're measuring to here, right in the middle of that sharpening choil, it's going to be about 3.6. So I guess depending on the situation, you could call that a 3.6 inch blade in some areas. So that's going to be a sweet spot for a lot of people. I like my 8 to 8.25 inch knives. Definitely feels like a full size knife without being overly, just too much. When we do the size comparisons here, I'm going to use the stainless Damascus one because, I mean, come on, how beautiful is that, right? Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 is coming in at 8.6 inches overall. So you can see there, it's big. It's just a little bit shorter, really just a half an inch shorter or so than the Ontario Rat 1. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 coming in just a little bit longer once again at about 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. So almost exactly the same size in overall length and in blade length and cutting edge as the Benchmade Griptilian. How about up against the Spyderco Para 3? Spyderco Para 3 is coming in at 7.25 inches overall. So this is a good full-size knife without being overly bulky. How's the action on it? Well, the action is very good, much like what you would expect from a very, very high-end production knife, which is what this is. The action is very snappy. There is no double clutch. We don't have a completely fall shut action. I can shake it shut, but it is brand new, and I'll tell you what it, oftentimes I'll judge it by how it feels on the inside of the pivot. This is very smooth. Both of these variants, and I'm sorry for my fingerprints on the Damascus, both of these variants are very smooth. It tells me that the detent ball will do a nice job of wearing its path into the blade, and it'll just become smoother over time. Really, what I think of when I pick these up, just the extra details, the nice contouring, the rounded edges. I mean, it's to a level where there's so much going on. There's so many little nice luxurious features on this knife. My immediate thought of like, where does my brain go? What's comparable to this? It feels like Riyadh. And it's the combination of like the intricate ways that they do the inlays and the design, and then they contour it at the same time. And on top of that, you have little details like the crowning of the spine, which we'll talk about here. You have the interesting lines in the patterns, of course, on the blade. Well, we're talking about the stainless Damascus there, but all of the little intricacies, and that mixed with the feeling of quality. Obviously, when you have a perfect detent setup, which this does, this has the perfect medium heavy detent. Click, oh, such a nice click, and then that perfect, snappy deployment. That's what this feels like. It feels like Riyadh quality, super high-end production knives. So that's where I'm kind of at with this. I don't want to drop these on each other, so I might have the S35 one kind of hanging out up there while I talk about this guy, but I just really want to talk about this one because it's got this beautiful blade on it that I'm struggling to keep my fingerprints off of. But anyways, let's go over. Oh, you know, we need to weigh it. Goodness. Let's weigh it. We'll weigh them both here, just in case for whatever reason one weighs more than the other. So we're looking at solid titanium. We do not have milling on the, wait, yes we do. Sorry, we do have milling on the inside, a little bit right there on the back side, the non-carbon fiber side. And then you've got this beautiful shred carbon fiber inlay here. You've got a blade that looks pretty, I mean, reasonably thick, not overly thick. I'm going to guess, yeah, it's probably about 145 thousandths or so, and then on an 8-inch knife. So keep all that in mind when we're looking at the weight here. Completely reasonable 4.52 ounces. You know, a lot of people, it used to be back in the days of Nut and Fancy's still going, but he was anything under 4 ounces. And then some other people were like, well, it really should be about 1 ounce an inch, you know, that whole thing. Whatever, everybody's got their different ranges. 4.5 is completely acceptable to me. 4.5 ounces is 4.5 ounces. Doesn't matter if you're carrying an apple, a knife, or whatever, stapler. It's carry profile to me. How easy is the object to carry? Here's the other one here. Roughly the same thing. Carry profile is good. You can see there it's going to sort of meet the curvature of your pocket, I guess. But there's nothing sticking out on this knife or no dimensional, you know, oddity on this knife that's going to make it difficult to carry. So I think 4.5 ounces is completely acceptable. Let's get these knives back into frame here and talk about the anatomy. So what we have here for the blades is a Persian style blade. You can see they're very aggressive drop and out to this tip that gets actually not quite as super delicate and dainty as you might think. There's reasonable thickness carried all the way out there. Let me go ahead and give you guys a measurement of blade thickness once we zero this out. There we go. And yeah, we're looking at about, looks to be about 150 thousandths there. So a little bit thicker. Think more maybe ZT in between Spyderco PM2 and ZT0562. What it's coming down to actually feels like a fairly, it's not going to be an absolute laser beam, but it does feel like it becomes pretty thin down behind the edge. Sharpening job on these guys is excellent. Plenty bitey. They're definitely going to do your EDC style tasks. And, you know, I would also imagine some outdoor tasks. You know, this isn't the type of tip that I would say, yeah, it's absolutely going to withstand every type of, you know, heavy, like if you have to do a little bit of digging and prying, you know, I think something more like the Shaman might be better suited for that. But I don't really think that this is the type of knife that somebody's going to expect, you know, that you can do that kind of thing with. This is the type of blade that's going to be really good at puncturing and really good at slicing. And not necessarily the best in either category, but it's definitely going to do those two things. And at the same time, it has this sort of elegant, exotic, kind of crazy look to it. And I think that's really cool. That's kind of the draw with Persian style blades. And I think they're a blade shape definitely that, and you could say this about any blade shape, but to me, this is a more exotic style of blade shape. I only have one other knife here that is in that blade shape. I only own one, and that's the Riot collaboration, or I'm sorry, the Steel Wheel, not Steelcraft, the Toddbed Steelcraft series 3/4 Quaken. That's a collaboration between Toddbed and Riot. And that's why, you know, like I picked that thing up, and that, you know, that knife when it was gifted to me was over a $400 knife. And yeah, it reminds me a little bit of this, but not only in the look of the blade, but in the feeling of quality. And that's why I say it feels like a Riot knife to me. I mean, opening and closing these things, I'm experiencing the same type of feeling between these two. So I just want to emphasize that, you know, a lot of times people see stuff like this on camera and they think, well, it looks really beautiful, but does it feel high quality? Yes. The answer is yes. It feels extremely high quality. It feels just as good, if not better, than it actually looks. So I hope I have completely beat that point into the ground. But anyways, yeah, very cool, very exotic looking blade shape. I prefer this with belly over a recurve. You know, a lot of times you'll see Persian style blades with recurves. I actually like the full belly. I think that looks good. You can see there again, we do have crowning on the spine, which is nice. There are no sharp edges to speak of anywhere, and this bead blasting they've done on this version is completely and totally uniform. Let me also applaud you, Tepe Designs, for your simple and really nice looking logo. They chose a font that looks good. They chose the image of the two wings that looks good. They also, when they on the back of this, they just put S35VN and then nothing else. That's great. Nobody likes all that stuff all over the blade. They don't want to, nobody needs to know exactly where it's manufactured or whatever. I've even heard of people saying, even on my USA made knives, I know where it's manufactured. I bought the knife. Most people are going to know. You don't have to put it on there. You can put it somewhere else. And that's what they've done here. They have left everything off the blade other than just the bare essentials, and I like that. The blade details are just perfect. There's nothing wonky. It just looks like a precision-made product. I like that a lot. Moving down to the handle scales, you do have nicely chamfered and in really like above and beyond on your rounding here and these other, there's a lot there. It really gives it this extra three-dimensional layer, this extra chamfering up here. All these corners are nicely knocked down, but really the highlight of the handle scales is this shred carbon fiber inlay that, look how they did this, how they laid that in between the bead blasted titanium. That's really cool. I don't know that I can properly emphasize exactly how cool that is. You have the dancing feature, on regular carbon fiber, which we'll just go ahead and use the exact same knife that I was using to compare there. You do have that dancing effect, right? And it looks nice. It really does. But Shred has a little bit more going on. You see what I mean? Moving these back and forth. Shred dances a little bit more, and it gives it that, that extra layer, on top of all these other layers that I was talking about. It gives it that extra layer of just like, oh, wow, cool, and I like that. I think a lot of people, preferences obviously are going to come into play for, this or regular carbon fiber or, the marble stuff or whatever, but Shred just looks really, really cool. I like that a lot. It's also one of those things where somebody who doesn't know, and a lot of people roll their eyes at this, but I'm this type of person. I like it when people ask me questions, like somebody who's like interested in folding knives, but they don't know a whole lot. I like it when people are like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, you're interested? Let me tell you. Because I was going to look for an awkward way to force conversation with you because I can't help but talk about pocket knives to anybody. I know, yeah, cringe, right? But yeah, shred carbon fiber is definitely that way. You have a simple domed off T8 pivot screw there. Looks nice, well fitted. The fitment here, the inlays with the titanium is absolutely perfect. There's also slight contouring to it. So you have the inlay, chamfering, and it's contoured, and it's seamless. You can feel it a little bit there, but it's, like in terms of how they've laid it in, like, how precision it was, it truly is perfect. Exactly. Better than I would have expected just looking at it. Absolutely. Taking a look at the handle screws here, I believe, let's take a look. I believe those are T6. We will inspect that real quick here using my handy Ouija bit selector, which I'm also going to advertise to you guys real quick. That is down there in the description along with the other EDC maintenance items and EDC items that I was talking about there. So here's your T6 screw or your bit. Yeah, it is a T6. So you guys know how I feel about T6. I really wish that everybody would just move to T8. Now, it does cause a problem. I don't always say this, but it does cause a problem sometimes visually because sometimes the screw head needs to be different. And also just how the knife fits together. If the threads are bigger on a T, I don't know. Obviously you could have the same size thread as this exact T6 and just use a larger head. Sometimes it just throws things off visually, and the person who designed the knife just doesn't want to go that route. And I get that. I'm always thinking of breaking down a knife. How easy is it to take apart? I don't want to switch up my head. I don't want to risk the head stripping or the screw stripping. I want it to be easy, so I like T8. That's kind of why I say that all the time. It's not a deal breaker, though. It's never a deal breaker. The lips of the titanium all the way around are knocked down. These corners are knocked down. The inside area is knocked down. There's nice access to the lock bar. Everything is knocked down and rounded off. It's beautiful. Check out that beautiful gear pattern backspacer it's got some 3D machining on there. Really, really nice. Some purple inside mixed in with the blue. There's your lanyard loop right there that's completely out of the way. Check out that pocket clip. How cool is that? A little micro milling on there, a nice large screw up top. You've got a ceramic ball bearing right there. The bottom of it is a little sharp. It's the only area on the entire knife that is a little bit sharp. We're going to use this one again just so we can look at that stainless Damascus. Little tiny bit sharp. However, truthfully, using the knife, you'd really have to be like making a cut that would, for whatever reason, cause your knife to move back this way for that part to dig into your hand. Because laying my hand on top of it, I gotta be honest, it's really not that big of a deal. And as far as how the pocket clip functions, like getting the knife in and out of your pants, you have that typical heavy pinch from underneath the ball bearing, but I can absolutely do it with one hand. I don't have a problem with that. This pocket clip is definitely form first, function second, but it functions very well, so I can't fault it for that. You have little hints of purple here and there, but it's mostly blue. It looks really, really nice. I don't know if he's going to have additional options for different color setups in the future. No idea. I would imagine, you know, he would do different things with the pocket clip and with the backspacer. We haven't really talked about that. It's just something that I want to kind of show you guys. You do have a couple of little lines here that I think are just more aesthetic, more decorative than anything else. They don't offer any meaningful traction, but I can understand, I think, why he did that, because without adding those lines there, it's just kind of bare. It's just kind of a blank canvas. There's nothing there. This adds more, you know, it keeps that sort of busyness. Me personally, I'm not somebody who's like, I want the busiest knife ever, but if you're going to do a theme, right, if you're going to kind of have a busyness, it really looks good when you have this stainless Damascus up there, because there's something going on everywhere. There's something to look at everywhere on this knife, and I really like that. You know, if you want to go plainer, you can, but I can understand here why he did those lines. Now, I don't know if there'll be different options for different milling patterns on the titanium. I don't know. But the way he's got it right here, I like it. It's not too crazy, but it's crazy enough to go with the rest of the knife. It really, really looks good, and it sort of keeps that elegant theme going. You do have a steel lock bar insert, excuse me, doubling as the over travel stop. We've got lockup on these guys coming in, I think, really similar. This guy coming in a little bit later. This one looks to be about 30%. This one looks to be about 25%. Both of them are definitely centered. You can see right there, no issue with centering. And both of them lock up absolutely, absolutely solid. No blade play up, down, left, or right. No flex whatsoever. The titanium is fairly thick. I don't know if that's adding to the stability of anything, you know, just with fitment of the stop pin and fitment of the blade in there. They are running on bearings. It feels like ceramic bearings. A lot of people are like, what do you mean? How can you tell? Steel bearings just feel different than ceramic bearings. Ceramic bearings are always going to be a little bit smoother. My Hinder XM18 runs on steel bearings. Feels good. Doesn't quite feel like ceramic bearings. I think that's what those are. Now, if they end up actually not being ceramic, then I'm going to look kind of stupid, but I'm just going to tell you guys what I'm feeling organically. That's just what it feels like. Also, you can see here another T8 pivot screw on the other side, and then more of the same body screws down here. We do have one of my favorite parts of this knife, the little hole on the flipper tab. It doesn't serve any purpose other than just aesthetic joy, but it looks nice. And that, coupled with the fact that the flipper tab is small and rounded off and unobtrusive, has a little bit of non-aggressive jimping right at the top, it just feels nice. This thing is really, really fun. It's one of those knives that's very easy to sit on a couch and just flip over and over and over again. Makes a nice noise, has a nice feeling, nice clicky feeling D10. It's just good all the way around. I'm going to tell you guys right now, there's not really a whole lot here to complain about. I don't like the T6 screws, but everything else was just done really well. I mean, this is an example of a knife. If you're going for something that's kind of like wow factor and kind of like in your face, cool, different, you know, and you like the exotic inlays, shred carbon fiber, and you like a little burst of color on the other side, I mean, this is going to be for you. The other nice thing is I think they're going to be in a fairly reasonable price range. I don't know that I can really speak to, you know, prices because I think it's not 100% confirmed yet, but these are Riot quality feeling knives with a much lower price tag as far as I know, but you'll just have to go to that campaign and kind of follow along and keep track of it for yourself. But thumbs up from me. Really like this. Thanks so much for letting me take a look. Guys, that's going to be pretty much it for this overview. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to take a look at my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe, because there's definitely more content coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.